What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York here at Aftershock Festival 2022, and we are here with Enter Shakari. Great to be able to talk with you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Great to be here.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you guys here. So the newest album is Nothing Is True and Everything Is Possible. Do you just want to talk about how the making of this was? Was there kind of like a preconceived vision of what you wanted this album to sound like, or was there a lot of improvising and a lot of like experimentation involved?
I think the only thing we really knew going back to the beginning of the writing of that record was that we just wanted to go out and we wanted to make like the ultimate Enter Shakari album. We wanted to touch from every element of our back catalogue and just make something that felt exciting and heavy and refreshing. You know, I think it was always just about kind of touching on everything that we'd done in our careers so far.
I guess because the album before that, The Spark, was very progressive for us, very like different and forward-facing, and we just thought it'd be fun to just keep people on their toes and sort of reverse it back a little bit. But yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because I did see the sort of like progressive element. I was calling it like Enter Opeth in a way, or like Enter Shakari, or Enter the Theater,
Right.
Dream Theater aspect. So it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that.
Yeah.
But it's funny too, because I don't know, some people are skeptical of the title, but I've always said that Enter Shakari is a fairly experimental band. I see elements of post-hardcore, metalcore, hard rock, straight metal. Is it fair to say that it's fairly easy to sort of like try new things with making new music?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just always been at the core of what we do.
Yeah.
We grew up with a thriving local scene. You know, our parents had us listening to all kinds of different music, so we just had all these different genres that we were influenced by. And I think as soon as we realized that that this was something that we could do well, the first thing that really came to us was like the trance with the heavy kind of like hardcore. And once we saw kind of people's reactions to it, whether they either hated it or it was just people were just so intrigued by it, it was like, well, this is something we need to keep at our core, and that's just, we've explored that again and again, whether it's dubstep or any kind of electronic music or punk or even like ballads. And so yeah, it's just always been what we do.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that can allow you guys to tour with a variety of different bands too, right? Like I know metalcore fans and industrial fans who like you, and because of The Spark, even prog fans who like you now too.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we've heard a lot over the years. Like, you guys got me into electronic music, or you guys got me into rock music, or whatever. So yeah, it's always good to hear that. In fact, we met a producer the other day, and his name is eluding me now, which is a bit embarrassing. But yeah, he's like we're hanging out with him the other day. He's like a dubstep producer, and apparently he only got into electronic music through us, but now he's like a successful like dubstep producer, and it's crazy. It's just like, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how one band could be a gateway drug into so many bands. And I know a lot of people who are listening to different styles, and you guys were their first band, so it's really cool to see
it's really cool.
how that's evolved.
Yeah.
This year marks 10 years of A Flash of Color, and I was just wondering what the sort of thought process was behind the making of that album, and how the songwriting process has evolved since then.
Well, A Flash Flood of Color was the first album where we basically changed the way we made our synths. So like the first two albums, we made it on Rail just used a hardware Korg Electrode, kind of like a sequencer. And then we just record all the audio in for that, and all the synths would just come from that. But it's only like after the second album that we started playing around with like Logic Pro, like DAWs and stuff, like software, computer software for the layman, and getting into more like soft synths. And so I guess it's Flash Flood of Color is where we really sort of took our first proper step into like the electronic music production, as opposed to more just like the first two albums were more like
we also went out
as blended as
and we also, it was like, I'll always remember that album because we recorded it in Thailand.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, it was like 4 weeks of just pure heaven. like, just in an amazing studio, like our own, like it was completely gated off. It was, our own swimming pool. We had the beach 2-minute walk away. So it was just like, we were like, what have we done to get so lucky? But I think they wanted to get some like Western bands out there, and like they wanted, to get, English bands to come over and to use the studio and see it's good. And off the back of us doing it, a whole load of other bands went and experienced it as well. But
And in order for to make the songwriting process happen, they always say isolation is such a great fuel for creativity. When it comes to coming up with ideas, do you all prefer to come up with different ideas when you're more like alone in your own elements, or is it easier to come up with ideas when you guys are in the company of each other?
We do both. We do like bits of writing at home, and then we get together and do bits of writing together. And yeah, I mean, it's mainly like Rao is our main songwriter. Like he'll do most of he'll do a load of the stuff by himself, and then we'll get together, and then we'll take it away, and then we'll add. I don't know. It's it's a bit of both, basically.
Yeah.
And here comes the most difficult question of the whole interview. I want you both to answer. Are you ready?
I feel like you're joking, but I feel like it is going to be the most difficult.
Everybody tells me it's the hardest one.
Okay.
How do you know when a song is done?
That's a bit. It's never done.
Yeah, I get that all the time.
Probably just when you listen to it and go, because in your head you have to have like a mental tick box, right?
I think
I don't know what it's not like a tick box that you could write down. It's more just like it gives me this feeling, it gives you that feeling. So I guess when all those boxes are being ticked in your head, you're like,
yeah.
Okay, I don't know what else I'd do to change this now.
Yeah.
It's the first one I got, so good for you.
Yeah.
That was the first type of answer I've gotten. So
wow. Yeah, it's basically once you've got no more mix notes for whoever's mixing it, and you're like, I'm happy with everything. I don't think I'd change anything.
Yeah.
Unless you then go, actually, let's go back and look at the structure of the song.
Yeah. I'm waiting to see one band just create one song, and every album is just them doing a remix of the same song over and over. They could probably make a whole catalog out of that.
All right.
And I have two more questions for you. When it comes to playing live, is there at all a similar energy that you put into your live presence as you do when you're songwriting, or do you consider playing live and songwriting two completely separate arts altogether?
I mean, we don't worry at all about when we're writing about how it's going to translate live. Like, we keep studio and live very separate. So, we're not going to be thinking, oh, how are we going to do that live? It's not going to stop us doing something creative in the studio. We'll figure that out when we start translating it to live. So the two processes are very separate. But what I would say is that there's often times in the studio where we're like, oh, that riff's going to go down well live. So it's always in the back of your mind. But we never want it to prevent us from being creative or for it to be a stumbling block.
Yeah. Mark Morton from Lamb of God, I interviewed him a couple years ago, and he says, they say, oh, you can't write stuff that you can't play live, but, a live experience is going to be completely different than an album experience anyway, so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's loads of times when I record a guitar part, and I'm like, I want another guitar part, so let's record another one. It's just like, in the studio, just forget about live. It will come. It'll be fine. Mm-hmm.
And the last question I wanted to ask you is, I've seen Enter Shakari now 2 times, once at Gramercy Theater and once at Warsaw, which great spot. So I've seen you play at those intimate venues, but you're playing at a festival now like this on a massive stage and outdoors in a completely different atmosphere. Is that at all maybe a different vibe in your live performance at all? And a different, would you consider it a different Enter Shakari experience?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we have a different frame of mind about it as well. We love playing outside. We love being in nature, and so I think it brings out a little something extra from us. But the club shows is they have their own vibe for us as well. We know it's going to be hot. We know it's going to be sweaty. It's going to be, there's going to be probably people coming on stage. So it's just what headspace it gets us into, really.
Yeah, definitely. I've always said a festival is really just Papa Roach once said it's almost kind of like the high school reunion. All these bands are here at once, and all different styles. So it's a very great source of inspiration to be exposed to different styles in one festival as well.
Yeah, it's definitely like something about playing outside during the daytime. It's a lot more like happy and joyous and like fun, as opposed to like, you know, a dingy little, you know, rock club is going to be like, it's going to have a different vibe. But yeah, like definitely playing outside in the sunshine at a music festival, it definitely brings out like the joyous side of artists, I think.
But I'm sure both are just as sweaty, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you guys so much for your time today and for such an awesome chat. Is there just anything else with Enter Shakari that you would like to promote for the release of Nothing Is True and Everything's Possible?
Well, since we just released a single called The Void Stares Back with Wargasm. Yeah, there'll be new music coming soon, hopefully next year. So yeah.
Yeah, just we got big plans, so keep an eye out.
Hell yeah, looking forward to it. Everybody, we are here with Enter Shakari. This is Alex from Heavy New York, Aftershock Festival 2022. We'll see you next time.